But let's begin this morning with the U.S. debt crisis. Today, President Biden will meet with congressional leaders from both sides of the aisle to discuss raising the limit and avoid a potential default. The U.S. hit its debt limit in January, and according to a new estimate by the Bipartisan Policy Center, the country could default on that debt as soon as next month.
So here to discuss is CBS News reporter Sarah Ewall-Wice. Always good to see you, Sarah. All right, so what is the Bipartisan Policy Center saying about all of this?
Yeah, so the Bipartisan Policy Center does some very extensive work tracking the money, and they put out their projections today saying that the U.S. could be unable to pay its bills within weeks. That's in line with what Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said when she suggested it could be as early as June 1st. And they gave a range between early June and early August. And they do this as a window because there's so much uncertainty with the money coming in and going out. They said if the U.S. can make it through June 15th without defaulting, then there's that money from the quarterly filing deadline. If that money gets the U.S. through the end of June, then there's another so-called extraordinary measure that can be used. So it's all very uncertain. It feels like a lot of finger crossing involved, and this is not going to be good either for the economy here or globally.
I thought they already used the most extraordinary of extraordinary measures to get us to this point. They've been holding out on us.
They have. They can add more to them at a later dates, depending on things, because it's about reinvesting funds.
All right. So we know that President Biden's going to be meeting with congressional leaders today. What are the concerns on each side?
So at this stage, it looks like both sides are heading into this meeting very firm on their positions. The White House has said Congress needs to act and raise the debt limit without conditions. Speaker McCarthy and House Republicans have signaled that that's absolutely a no-go. They've passed their own legislation with significant cuts. And we know Senator Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader, has said this is something the president needs to work out with House Republican leaders. So it doesn't appear like he's going to step in and deal with this anytime soon, apart from being a part of today's meeting. Yesterday, the White House press secretary said that the president is willing to have separate conversations with the speaker about spending in the budget. But I think the concern there for Republicans is if it's not directly tied to the debt ceiling, they lose some of that leverage to make sure this actually happens and happens soon.
Right. So then keeping that in mind, what other options does President Biden have?
Not many. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said yesterday that the president will have to make some tough choices. And she said, those are all bad options. She said the only good option without risking the economy was to raise the debt limit. And there has been talk of using the 14th Amendment to nullify the debt limit, since there is language there about the debt not being questioned. But there are some concerns raised about the legal standing of this. And Yellen said it would be a constitutional crisis. The Federal Reserve has also dismissed the idea of minting that trillion-dollar coin. And when I asked Chair Jerome Powell just last week about the threat of default, he said point blank this should not even be something the U.S. is talking about, not paying the bills, and the Fed cannot protect against the consequences of a default in this situation.
So let us talk about this. Should the U.S. default? I mean, what does that mean for the average person, short term and I think also long term, Sarah?
Yeah, so it really depends on how long this goes. But I've been speaking to a number of economists about this, and no matter what they have to say about the debt, they say that the idea of default is not good. They've used earthquake, they've used catastrophe, they've used chaotic. Borrowing costs would go up at a time when people are already struggling with both higher prices and higher interest rates. If government workers and contractors are not getting paid, those are communities throughout the country that have to cut back, and there would be a ripple effect with both the potential for businesses to close and job losses. For folks just sitting at home, there are questions about the payments that go out to them, things like Social Security payments. There's a $25 billion payment on June 2nd, another on the 14th. Those are just the first two. There's a $47 billion Medicare payment that is slated to go out June 1st, as well as another $12 billion for veterans benefits that day, and a slew of other payments from military and government worker salaries to SNAP benefits, formerly known as food stamps, throughout the entire month of June. So with all the uncertainty, it's just simply unknown exactly how this would work. It would roil the markets. 401ks would be down. And I have to say, we've already seen signs that investors are seriously uncertain about this. There's already been some pieces of the economy when you look at Treasury securities where there already are reservations, and we can see that from investors before we even get to the idea of hitting that so-called X date.
And I would think too, Sarah, you could tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, just like it is in my household, if I don't pay my bills, it has an impact on my credit rating.
Absolutely. No, it would have. I mean, you don't pay your mortgage, you don't pay your car loan. Those are things that you have a consequence for. So if the United States is not paying its bills, some say we can prioritize payments and pay certain things over other things, but the people who hold that debt, the debt that's not being paid, will be upset. And the same thing happens here. Basically, there could be legal challenges, and overall, it just makes the entire economy uncertain and also raises questions about the security of the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency.
Right. We do not want to go there. Sarah Ewall-Wice, thank you very much.
Thank you.